हरि जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय गोपीचन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी जय गोपीचन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन ब्रजजन रंजन यशोदानंदन ब्रजजन रंजन यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा वनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय प्रभुपादा जय प्रभुपादा जय प्रभुपादा श्रील प्रभुपादा जय प्रभुपादा जय प्रभुपादा जय प्रभुपादा श्रील प्रभुपादा जय विष्णुपाद परमहंस परमेश्वर सूत्र सदस्य श्रीमद ईश्वराय शेषी भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। इस्कॉन संस्थापक श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। जय विष्णुपाद परमहंस परमेश्वर सूत्र सदस्य श्रीमद भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज प्रभुपाद की जय। जय विष्णुपाद गौर किशोरदास महाराज की जय। जय विष्णुपाद सच्चिदानंद भक्तिनाथ ठाकुर की जय। जय विष्णुपाद वैष्णव साधु श्री जगन्नाथ दास महाराज की जय। जय श्री रूप सनातन भट्ट रघुनाथ श्री जी गोपाल भट्टदास रघुनाथ गोस्वामी प्रभु की जय। रामाचार्य दास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से गौर श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसादि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गौर गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। श्री श्री गौरांगी बेंगलोरेश्वर भगवान की जय। श्री मायापुर धाम की जय। श्री वृंदावन धाम की जय। गंगामाई की जय। यमुनामाई की जय। भक्ति देवी की जय। तुलसी देवी की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव की जय। श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद भागवतम की जय। इस्कॉन वर्तमान गुरुवंत की जय। समावेद भक्तवृंद की जय। गौर प्रेमानंद हरि हरि बोल। All glories to the assembly. All glories to the assembly. All glories to the assembly. This all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Shri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayamuti Haye. Ashtaprayeshu Patreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtihi. Hare Krishna, welcome to Friday morning Srimad Bhagavatam class. We are discussing today from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 1, Text 56 to Text 38. Text 6. Deva Uchuhu Jo Maya Virachitam Nijayatmana Manidam Ke Rupa Bedam Ibatat Pratichakshanaya Etene Dharma Sadanesh Rishi Murtinadya Pradush Chakara Purushaya Namah Parasmai Deva Uchuhu Yo Maya Virachitam Nijayatmanidam Ke Rupa Bedam Ibatat Pratichakshanaya Etena Dharma Sadane Rishi Murtanadya Pradush Chakara Purushaya Namah Parasmai Deva Uchuhu Yo Maya Virachitam Nijayatmanidam Ke Rupa Bedam Ibatat Pratichakshanaya Etena Dharma Sadane Rishi Murtanadya Pradush Chakara Purushaya Namaha Parasmai. Translation Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The demigod said, let us offer our respectful obeisances unto the transcendental personality of Godhead, who created as his external energy this cosmic manifestation which is situated in him as the air and clouds are situated in space, and who has now appeared in the form of Narayana, Rishi in the house of Dharma. Purport Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The universal form of the Lord is the cosmic manifestation, which is an exhibition of external energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In space, there are innumerable varieties of planets and also the air. And in the air, there are variously colored clouds. And sometimes we see airplanes running from one place to another. Thus, the entire cosmic manifestation is full of variety. But actually, that variety is a manifestation of the external energy of the Supreme Lord. And that energy is situated in him. Now, the Lord himself, after manifesting his energy, appeared within the creation of his energy, which is simultaneously one with and different from himself. And therefore, the demigods offered their respects to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who manifests himself in such varieties. There are some philosophers called non-dualists who, because of their impersonal conception, think that varieties are false. In this verse, it is specifically stated, Yo Mayaya Virachitam. This indicates that the varieties are a manifestation of the energy of the personality of Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thus, because the energy is non-different from the Godhead, the varieties are also factual. The material varieties may be temporary, but they are not false. They are a reflection of the spiritual varieties. Here, the word Pratichakshanaya, there are varieties announces the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who appeared as Narayana Rishi and who is the origin of all varieties of material nature. Text 57. Soyam stiti yadikaro Pashamaya Srishtan Satvena Naswaraganan Anumeya Tatvaha Drishyad Adabra Karunena Vilokanena Yachri Niketam Amalam Shipata Rabindam. Translation Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Let that Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is understood by truly authorized Vedic literature and who has created peace and prosperity to destroy all calamities of the created world, be kind enough to bestow his glance upon the demigods. His merciful glance can supersede the beauty of the spotless lotus flower, which is the home of the goddess of fortune. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Purport Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the origin of the cosmic manifestation, is covered by the wonderful activities of material nature. Just as outer space or the illumination of the sun and moon is sometimes covered by clouds or dust, it is very difficult to find the origin of the cosmic manifestation Therefore, material scientists conclude that nature is the ultimate cause of all manifestations. But from Shastra or authentic literature like Bhagavad Gita or other Vedic scriptures, we understand that behind this wonderful cosmic manifestation is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And in order to maintain the regular procedures of the cosmic manifestation and to be visible to the eyes of persons who are in the mode of goodness, the Lord appears. He is the cause of the creation and dissolution of the cosmic manifestation. The demigod therefore prayed for his merciful glance upon them in order to be blessed. Text 58. Evam Suragaнаистат Bhagavanta Abhi Tuthau Labdav Valokair Yayatur Architau Gandhamadanam. Translation Maitreya said, "O Vidura, thus the demigod worshipped with the prayers, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, appearing as the sage Naranarayana. The Lord glanced upon them with mercy and then departed for Gandhamadana hill." Om Agyanti Mirantasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Tasmai Shri Gurave Shri Chaitanya Manopishtam Stapitam Ena Bhutale Swayam Bhukadamakim Dati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Lapatakabalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagarsatam Sagana Raghunathanjam Ramsajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lita Shri Vishakanitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapkanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanuste Devi Pranamami Haripe Panchakalpatarubhyascha Vasudevavacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Maham Karoti Vachalam Pangam Nagedi Dindapat Maham Vante Shri Gurundaratnam Paramanam Madam Shri Chaitanya Mishanam. Hare Krishna. So welcome to the Friday morning Shri Bhagavatam class. Here we see actually the demigods are offering prayers to Sri Narayana Rishi. Whenever the Lord appears, either as Krishna or any other incarnations, in this particular case, the Lord has appeared as Narayana Rishi. So the demigods and the denizens of the higher planetary systems, they offer prayers to the Lord, glorifying the Lord, by which the Lord becomes pleased. So we see in the first prayer, there are two prayers they are offering. The first prayer, it is mentioned that demigod said, "Let us offer our respectful obeisances unto the transcendental personality of Godhead, who created as his external energy this cosmic manifestation, which is situated in him as the air and clouds are situated in space, and who has now appeared in the form of Narayana Rishi in the house of Dharma." So the Lord creates, the Lord has three energies: internal energy, external energy, and marginal energy. Through his internal energy, the Lord manifests the spiritual world and pastimes in the spiritual world, etc. To the external energy, Lord manifests this material world, and as a matter of fact, anything that is there in the material world are his external energy. The marginal energy are we, the living entities, who can either be situated in the Lord's internal energy by becoming devotees of the Lord, or we can be situated in the external energy by being in this material world itself. So thus the three energies are manifest by the Lord, and it is these three energies the Lord creates everything. Not only that, he creates this material world through these energies, and again enters into this cosmic manifestation as an energy himself. So the Lord is actually within and without. When we say within, the Lord is within everything as the Paramatma. In every living entity, in every universe, the Lord is present. as Paramatma feature. And at the same time, he's outside. It means that even though everything is within him, he's not attached to it. He's not a part of this material world. So that is why it is said that sometimes they say, not sometimes, in our Acharyas explain, simultaneously one and different. That means since the creations are a manifestation of the Supreme Lord, there is no difference between the Lord and the creation. At the same time, the Lord is not this material creation. He's transcendental to the material world. The Lord manifests this material world, which is in the three modes of material nature, that is goodness, passion, and ignorance. But beyond this is a transcendental mode in which the Lord is situated. So the Lord is transcendental. The pastimes of the Lord are transcendental. The devotees of the Lord are transcendental. Activities of the Lord are also transcendental. So the demigods are offering prayers to glorify the Lord. And it is said that there are two types of prayers. One is offering prayers by one's own self with great love, which we may not be able to do. We are not qualified for this. And the second is reciting the prayers which are sung by great souls. So here, demigods are also great souls, though they are placed in this material world. They are on a higher platform than conditioned souls like this. Like us, they are all devotees of the Lord. So they have sung these prayers. So even when we recite the prayers sung by great souls, the Lord becomes very pleased. And it has the same feeling by which is sung by great souls. So we may not be able to realize that feeling because we are not purified. But at least we can try and understand the feelings by reading and glorifying these prayers. We can understand what they have tried to express in these prayers. And we can offer these prayers in any situation. For example, chanting in a hospital, reciting in a hospital when somebody is sick. Like that, these prayers can be recited anywhere. We'll go through one or two quickly through some of the examples in Srimad Bhagavatam. For example, in the Brahma Vimohan Leela, where Lord Brahma tried to test that boy, cowherd boy is really Krishna. So when Krishna and the cowherd boys were having their lunch, Brahma was thinking, how can this boy have lunch, who is having lunch with them and share the same tiffin box with everybody, be the Supreme Personality of Godhead? So at one point of time, he took away the boys left their calves and the cowherd boys, and they went into the grazing, for grazing into the forest, deep into the forest. So suddenly Krishna realized what was happening. So when he sent somebody to find out, they were all missing. So Lord Krishna told the cowherd boys that you all be here. I will go and look for them and come. And Krishna knew that Brahma had stolen these cowherd boys and the calves. So after some time, which is said to be Brahma's one day, which is 1 year for us, Brahma came back, and to his surprise, he found that the same cowherd boys and the calves which Lord Krishna had, whom Brahma had stolen, they were all there in the same form which they were originally there. And then he thought maybe Krishna has brought them back from where he had stolen and kept. So Brahma went back to the place to see, and he saw that they were there. And again he came back and he saw these were also. Then he realized that he tried to test Krishna, and he felt that he committed an offense unto the Supreme Lord by doing that test. Actually, Krishna had expanded himself into so many calves and cowherd boys. So when he realized that he committed a mistake, he glorified the Lord in very, very nice, beautiful prayers. And in one prayer, I'm just trying to quote one prayer from one of these so that we understand how each one of the devotees of the Lord offer their prayers. So Brahma, in one of the prayers, he says that when he realized that he committed a mistake, immediately offered his obeisances and offered prayers to Krishna. And the prayer he says, who are the people who can conquer the Supreme Personality of Godhead? That means nobody can conquer the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then he goes on to say that, but that same personality of Godhead can be conquered by one who follows two principles. That is, one is a do and one is a don't. So one should give up the process of mental speculation, and one should not even try to understand the absolute truth by mental speculation. The two things are there, that one is nobody can conquer the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And one who has given up these two things, that is, one who does not indulge in mental speculation and does not try to understand the absolute truth by mental speculation, then such persons can see the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then he goes on to say that one should hear about the Lord in whatever situation they are in. One should try to hear about the Lord. One should dedicate one's mind, body, and words to Krishna. And Brahma said the most lamentable people are those who consider Krishna as an ordinary person. Normally, many times when we speak to people or when we go out for preaching, people say that Krishna came as an ordinary person, so he's just an ordinary person. He's not like that. He came as like an ordinary person, but he is a Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that does not mean that one can equate Krishna to be an ordinary person. So these are some of the things that one cannot conquer or try to see or understand the Supreme Lord through the process of mental speculation. Rather, one should try to hear as much as possible about the Lord. Then one may be, I'll come to the point, the next point also. One should dedicate their mind, body, and words to Krishna. And then there's another example in the fourth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, where there is a mention. This is Dhruva Maharaj prayers, and Srila Prabhupada gives a commentary about the process of mental speculation, because that is mentioned in this particular purport also, in today's purport. He says, Srila Prabhupada mentions that the process of speculation, the object, etc., everything is material in this material world, whereas the Supreme Lord is spiritual. And he gives an example. For example, if you have to measure the length of something, you need a measuring instrument. Supposing you want to measure some object in terms of length, breadth, or width, something, you require a tape by which you can measure, which has got the marking 1 inch, 2 inches, or so many centimeters, etc. You cannot use a weighing machine to measure the length and breadth of that object. So similarly, Srila Prabhupada mentions, you have to use an instrument which has the same property. That means everything in the world has got a property. So you must have a compatible instrument for measuring. So in the material world, everything is material. So it will be a futile attempt to understand the Supreme Lord with anything that is material. And Srila Prabhupada specifically condemns those who speculate about the absolute truth. So in order to understand the absolute truth, one must try to have a spiritual means and not material means. We'll come to one more example. This is Prahlad Maharaj's prayers in the 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, where Prahlad Maharaj prays, therefore, although I am born in a demoniac family, I may without a doubt offer prayers to the Lord with full endeavor as far as my intelligence allows. That means here Prahlad Maharaj does not exhibit himself as a devotee of the Lord. He says that I'm born in a demoniac family. That means Prahlad Maharaj expresses his humility due to being born in a demoniac family. But still, I may offer the prayers to the Lord with full endeavor. Prahlad Maharaj offers these to Lord Narasimhadev. And then he says, as far as my intelligence allows. The 3 points in this particular one line itself. He says, I'm born in a demoniac family, which shows his humility. Then he says, still I will try to offer prayers with full endeavor. That means in spite of being born in a demoniac family, he says, I will try, put my efforts to offer prayers. That means without putting efforts, we can't get results. So we must put efforts in whatever we do. Then he says, as far as my intelligence allows. That means he doesn't say that he has got so much of intelligence to offer these prayers, but he says that I have a limited intelligence. And to the extent that my intelligence allows, I'll try to offer my prayers with my efforts. That is very important. Then he says, anyone who has been forced by ignorance to enter into the material world may be purified of material life if he offers prayers to the Lord and hears about the Lord's glories. So it's also a very important line. He says, anyone who has taken birth in this material world can become purified in this material existence if he offers prayers to the Lord and also hears about the Lord's glories. So here, hearing the Lord's glories and offering prayers to the Lord to one's capacity, one as far as one's intelligence is stressed here. So it is said that one cannot try to see the Lord, one should try to hear about the Lord first. Generally, we are in the material world, we are conditioned to seeing everything that is material first. And if we are convinced, then we say, yes, this is what is correct. But in the case of spiritual activities, it is not possible to see the Lord straight away. One should try to hear about the Lord. So that is why it is said in our Shastras that one should not try to see the Lord with our eyes. Rather, one should first try to see the Lord with our ears. Seeing the Lord with our ears means trying to hear about the Lord, by which we get purified. Then when we become purified, then the Lord may reveal his form. Then there is a mention in this sloka about the universal form of the Lord. So this universal material manifestation is nothing but the Supreme Lord in his form as a universal form. Now we'll try to understand a little bit about this universal form. This form, Lord's forms are spiritual in nature. Just as the Lord is spiritual, the Lord's form is also spiritual. That is Krishna or Narasimha, they are all spiritual forms, not material. So everything in the material world is within the three modes. But the Lord has manifested in the material world as a universal form, which is also called the Virat Rupa. Now, this Virat Rupa is an imaginary form, not the true form, for one to imagine that, yes, Lord is physically present in this material world and he is overseeing. The Lord does not create only, he creates through Brahma, he maintains it himself as Vishnu and annihilates through Shiva. So, in order to exhibit that the Lord is present in this material world also, he has manifested this Virat Rupa, which is an imaginary form. And it is to enable the less intelligent people or neophytes to understand that the Lord has a form. Generally, because the Lord has a spiritual form, we cannot see the Lord in his spiritual form, original spiritual form. We have to be purified. Just it is said that eyes, when they have cataract, that cataract has to be removed. So when the cataract is removed, we can see things as it is. Whereas the cataract obstructs a person's vision. So similarly, one's conditional existence of material existence should be purified, and one, when it becomes spiritually purified, then one can see the spiritual form of the Lord also. So in order to show the materialist and gross materialist that the Lord has got a form, the Lord has manifested this universal form or Virat Rupa. So it is meant for neophytes who cannot understand anything beyond matter. The Lord does not have material form. Both the Lord and the living entities have an eternal spiritual form. That means that we all have a spirit soul within our heart. That soul is also spiritual in nature. That is why we are not able to see the form of the soul. But being a part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, that spirit soul also has got a form that is also mentioned in Srimad Bhagavad Gita. So this Virat Rupa also is an incarnation of the Lord, and it is meant for persons who cannot directly engage in the worship of the transcendental form of the Lord. That means those who cannot see the spiritual form of the Lord, they can worship this form of the Lord, which is not spiritual, but by worshipping that form, one can even purify his conditioned existence. It's a method by which one can engage in the worship of the Lord. So this whole universe is shaped like an egg. That is why it is called a universal form, like an egg. It's called a universal egg. And like an egg is covered, similarly, this universe is covered by so many layers. Each one, this universe is covered by material elements like earth, water, fire, air, ether, etc. And each covering is about 10 times the covering of the total previous layer. For example, the first one is covered by earth. The next covering, that is water, is 10 times the layer of the covering of the layer of earth. This way, each covering goes on increasing. And within this egg-like universe is the form of the universal form of the Lord. And all the planetary systems that are situated within the universe they constitute the form of the Lord. And all these planetary systems constitute the various parts of his body. So the original form of the Lord is Krishna, which is confirmed in Brahma Samhita, where Lord Brahma prays, Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha, Anadiradi Govinda Sarvakarana Karanam. So original form of the Lord is Krishna, from whom all the other incarnations manifest. Like for example, Prahlad Maharaj's prayers, he glorifies Lord Narasimhadev, which is also a spiritual form. So this is one universe, but there are millions of universes throughout the cosmic manifestation. And in each of them, the Lord is present like the Virat Rupa. Or the Lord is present as the Garbhodaka Sahib Vishnu. The universe itself floats in the air, in the space, due to the presence of Garbhodaka Sahib Vishnu. Also, there is a mention that those who are too grossly engaged in sense gratification, because when one becomes too much engrossed in sense gratification, one's intelligence becomes impure. And as one's intelligence gets purified, then one can realize the Lord's transcendental form, and the Lord's transcendental form can be manifest to that person whose intelligence is purified. So for those who are grossly engaged in sense gratification, for them it is better to meditate on this Virat Rupa or universal form of the Lord. As one meditates on this, his intelligence gets purified. This is a quote from second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Also, this universal form exhibits various manifestations of the Lord, like the seas, the mountain, rivers. They are all but different parts of the Lord's body. And by meditating on these as being the various parts of the Lord's body, one's intelligence gets purified. It's called Virat Rupa because the Supreme Lord is situated within the planet, within it as his plenary portion. Like I mentioned, the Lord creates this manifestation and enters into it, and he is present also as Garbhodaka Sahib Vishnu. And this is a material manifestation of the Lord and was exhibited to Arjuna just to convince the impersonalist, which is also mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, just to convince the impersonalist that the Lord Krishna is the original form of the Godhead, but he reveals this uniform self form for the impersonalist. But at the same time, these forms are not different from his eternal form of the Lord. That means one must not try to say that this is a different form. That is, all the forms of the Lord are the same. They have a different purpose. When Arjuna saw this form, he immediately requested the Lord to revert back to his two-handed form. So Arjuna saw the universal form of the Lord, but later he wanted to see the Lord's original form back because that is the most attractive form of the Lord. But the Lord is so merciful that even for less intelligent people like gross materialists and impersonalists, the Lord manifests this Virat Rupa for them to get purified. Now, in the space, there are innumerable varieties of planets and also air and so forth, which is mentioned in the purport. So, in the air, there are so many clouds, colored clouds, etc. And sometimes we see airplanes going from one place to another. So, all these, the entire cosmic manifestation is full of variety. But actually, these varieties are a manifestation of the external energy of the Lord, and that energy is also situated in him. The Lord also says, now the Lord himself, after manifesting energy, which I mentioned, now after creating this manifestation of this external energy, the Lord simultaneously enters into it, and it is non-different from himself. So many times we say simultaneously one and different. when we say one, simultaneously one and different, example is that, for example, a green bird enters into a green tree, and when it sits on the green tree on a green leaf, we cannot see the bird separately. Everything looks green. So in one sense, everything is the same because everything looks green. But at the same time, the bird is different, the tree is different, the leaves are different. So that is why it is called simultaneously one and different. So the demigods offered their respects to a supreme personality of Godhead who manifests in various forms, in many varieties. Another important point is that there are so many varieties, but they are factual. Only thing is that they are temporary in this material world. Material world is temporary. So whatever we see in this material world, they are all temporary in nature, but they are factual. Plus, they are also a reflection of whatever is existing in the spiritual world. So whatever we see in this material world, they are a perverted reflection of what exists originally in the spiritual world. Only thing is that in the spiritual world, everything is eternal, whereas in the material world, everything is temporary, but it is factual. And here there is a mention of how Narayana Rishi is the origin of all the varieties of material nature. So whenever the Lord appears, he comes along with his expansions and associates, etc. So there's a mention that material nature origins from Narayana Rishi. And the Lord is the cause of all the causes. We go to text number 57, where in the second prayer, they say that let that Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is understood by truly authorized Vedic literature, and who has created peace and prosperity to destroy all calamities of the created world, be kind enough to bestow his glance upon the demigods. His merciful glance can supersede the beauty of the spotless lotus flower, which is the home of the goddess of fortune. So we'll understand some important points here. The Lord is understood by truly authorized Vedic literature. That means the Lord cannot be understood through our mental speculation. The Lord can be understood only from Shastras. Shastras, the scriptures like Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, etc. So these scriptures cannot be understood just by reading to it. That is why it is always said that Lord can be understood through Sadhu, Shastra, and Guru. Now, Lord's description is given the Shastras, but one must try to hear it from Sadhu and Guru. Sadhu and Guru are same, not same. The sense both are devotees of the Lord, but at the same time, one should hear from sadhus also, and one must accept a guru in his spiritual life. Because without accepting a guru, one cannot progress in spiritual path. Krishna himself accepted Sandipal Muni as spiritual master, just to show by example to everyone in this material world that one needs a guru to progress in spiritual life also. Just as we need a teacher for our material life also to learn something material, we need a spiritual guru also, who is a representation of the form of the Lord himself. It is said that the supreme spiritual master is an external manifestation of the Paramatma feature of the Lord. The Lord is present as Paramatma in each and everyone's heart, and the spiritual master is nothing other than an external manifestation of the Paramatma feature of the Lord. So one can understand the Lord only from Sadhu, Shastra, and Guru. Also, we see here in Bhagavad Gita, the Lord telling Arjuna in chapter 11, text 64, he says, my dear Arjuna, only by undivided devotional service can I be understood as I am standing before you, and can thus be seen directly. Only in this way can you enter into the mysteries of my understanding. That means Krishna is telling Arjuna, only by undivided devotional service, one can see the Lord and one can understand the Lord also. Similarly, Brahma prays in his Brahma Samhita prayers, Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena. That means he says that I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is Shamsundar, Krishna himself, with inconceivable, innumerable attributes, whom the pure devotees see in their heart of hearts, with the eye of devotion tinged with a salve of love. So Brahma is offering prayers to Krishna the personality of Godhead. He says that only pure devotees whose eyes of devotion, eyes are tinged with a devotional love, they will be able to see the Lord personally. That means the eye of the soul is covered with a cataract, and as soon as the cataract is removed by the process of devotional service, beginning with the process of chanting and hearing, our senses become purified and one becomes eligible to see the Lord. There is a pastime in Chaitanya Charitamrita where how the Lord revealed himself to a great devotee called Madhavendra Puri. The Lord not only revealed himself to Madhavendra Puri, but also took service from him. So it is said that once Madhavendra Puri did a parikrama of Govardhana hill, and when he was tired, he was sitting under a tree. When a cowherd boy came to him with a pot of milk, saying, smilingly, he smiled and told Madhavendra Puri, "Oh Madhavendra Puri, please drink this milk I have brought. Why don't you beg some food to eat? What kind of meditation are you doing?" When he saw the beauty of this boy, Madhavendra Puri said that, "Who are you and where do you reside? How do you know that I'm fasting?" The boy replied, actually, "The women in this village who come here to take water, they saw you and they supplied me with this milk and sent me to you." That means the boy says that there are women who come to this village to take water. They saw you and asked me to give this milk to you. And then he said that I must go to milk my cows. I shall come back soon and take back this milk pot from you. Then the boy left and he never returned. But that night, Mahadevendra Puri had a dream in which the same boy appeared and he saw and he took his hand to a bush. He took Madhavendra Puri holding him by his hand and took him to the bush and showed where the boy said, "I'm suffering from severe cold and showers and I'm residing here. Please bring the people of this village and take me out of this bush and take me to the top of the hill and build a nice temple and worship me there." That means the boy said that I'm situated inside the bush. Please bring others to help me out and take me out from here and take me on top of the hill and worship me by building a temple there. So the Lord asked Madhavendra Puri for a service actually. And he says, I've been observing you for a very long time. And I've been wondering, when will this Mahadevendra Puri come here to serve me? I've accepted your service due to ecstatic love for me. And my name is Gopal. This way, Madhavendra Puri Krishna revealed to Madhavendra Puri. That was Krishna who came as Gopala and offered that milk to Madhavendra Puri. So now Krishna is asking Madhavendra Puri to dig out that place, and there is a deity that is hidden in the bush. Madhavendra Puri brings the residents. They come out, dig out, they recover the deity of Lord Krishna, and then they perform the Annakutta ceremony, and this way they offer bhoga on a daily basis. Then one day the Lord appeared again to Madhavendra Puri in a dream and said, "My bodily temperature has increased. It has not decreased at all, because it was burning hot. It is burning hot in Vrindavan and Govardhan in summer and all. So please bring sandalwood from pulp from me from Malaya province and smear my body with sandalwood pulp to cool me down." So that's why we apply chandan during this extreme heat time to cool down the body of the Lord. Then he said, "Please go to Puri quickly, as there is no one else to do it, so you must do it." So the Lord appeared and took service from him. So the point is that the Lord need not only reveal to that person, but when the Lord sees the devotion of the devotee, the Lord can even take service from that devotee. In fact, we should consider that if we are doing some service in the temple to the Lord, it's a service that the Lord is taking from us. And if we are able to render that service with love and devotion, the Lord becomes very, very pleased. On the other hand, there's an example of King Prataparudra. He wanted to see the Lord, but the Lord refused to see. That this was when Lord appeared as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Puri. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in Puri, King Prataparudra wanted to see him, but the Lord refused, saying that he does not meet materialistic people. But he agreed to see his son. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then saw his son, and finally he was pleased with his son. And at the time of Rath Yatra, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was pleased by seeing the same King Pratapa cleaning the pathway to the Rath with a broom. Then Mahaprabhu knew that he was a devotee, said that he thought that he is a real devotee of the Lord. I mean, many times kings are materialistic people, but when he saw such a great king doing a menial service of cleaning the road, and Mahaprabhu became very pleased and embraced him and with devotion. So the point is that the Lord cannot be seen with mental speculation. The Lord can be understood and seen by our purified existence. That is the way to see the Lord. Material objects we can see, but spiritual matters, objects we cannot see with our present eyes. They have to be seen through the ears. That's why it is mentioned that people should try to see through the eyes of the scriptures. In Srimad Bhagavatam, in the 6th canto, there is a quote where King Chitraketu, he was able to see Lord Anantadev. And after seeing Lord Anantadev is telling King Chitraketu, he says, "O king, as a result of your having accepted the instructions given by Narada and Angira, you have become completely aware of the transcendental knowledge." That means the Lord is telling, Lord Ananda is telling King Chitraketu, because you have accepted the instructions of Narada and Angira Rishi, you have become aware of the transcendental knowledge, which I mentioned that one must accept a guru. King Chitraketu accepted Narada Muni as his guru, and Narada Muni gave instructions. Then he was able to see. Then the Lord is telling Chitraketu, because you are educated in the spiritual science, you have seen me face to face. That means King Chitraketu got educated in the spiritual science by following the instructions of Narada Muni, and he could see the Lord face to face. Similarly, one takes the instructions of spiritual master. After undergoing proper training, one becomes qualified to see the Lord face to face. Seeing Krishna means connecting with the Supreme Lord. When we try to see somebody, we try to connect with them. Similarly, if we are trying to see the Lord, even an endeavor means trying to connect with the Lord by establishing a relationship. Actually, we have an eternal relationship with Krishna, which is inseparable. But if you endeavor, put our effort in the right direction, that will restore our original relationship. In the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam also, we see Queen Kunti. She's seeking blessings from the Lord by saying that by blessings, by glancing at us, you have actually blessed us. So if we are able to see the Lord, that means the Lord is blessing that devotee of the Lord. Dhruva Maharaj, one example given is about Dhruva Maharaj. He could see the Lord by the mercy of his spiritual master, Muni. And this process starts with surrender. When one accepts a spiritual master takes the disciple through the process of surrender till one becomes completely surrendered. The Lord himself says in Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, I am never manifest to the foolish and unintelligent. For them, I am covered by my internal potency, and therefore they do not know that I am unborn and infallible. That means those who are foolish and unintelligent, they cannot see the Lord. But by the mercy of the Lord, one can see and understand that the Lord is unborn. Let me see the time. Whenever Srila Prabhupada used to go outside preaching in the Western world during his days, people would ask him, whether have you seen God? He would ask the people, you have a father? They would say yes. And then your father has got a father? They would say yes. So similarly, God, he would say that God is the supreme father of all. And he says that this is the best stage of trying to understand beginning of God realization. Beginning of God realization means understanding that Krishna is the cause of all the causes. Krishna also says in Bhagavad Gita, I am the source of all the spiritual and material worlds. and everything emanates from me. That means whatever is there in this entire manifestation, whether material or spiritual, everything emanates from Supreme Lord only. And they can be understood only from Vedic literatures, where the details are given, and they have to be understood from bona fide authorities. Now, in the third sloka, Maitreya Rishi, so they offered their prayers in two slokas. In return, after that, here, Maitreya Rishi tells Vidura, thus the demigods worship with prayers the Supreme Personality of Godhead, appearing as the sage Naranarayana. So the demigods actually worship the Lord by offering the prayers. And being pleased with them, the Lord glanced upon with mercy, and then he departed for Gandhamadana hill. So the demigods offered prayers to the Lord, and being pleased with those prayers, the Lord glanced at them very smilingly and by his mercy, and then he departed for the Gandhamadana hill. So we will try to understand how merciful it is to get a glance of the Lord. Examples are given even in Mahabharata when Lord Krishna went to the assembly hall to pacify Duryodhana. Lord was present in front of Duryodhana. In fact, he wanted to arrest the Lord. But Duryodhana could not understand Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Another case about Kamsa. He was looking at the Lord as his enemy. Shishupal also looked at him as an enemy. On the other hand, we see example of Vyasadeva in first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. He's an incarnation of the Lord himself. Vyasadeva sat under the berry tree in Badrikashram, and he fixed his mind, perfectly engaging it by the process of devotional service without any tinge of materialism. And thus he was able to see the Lord face to face. Similarly, Narad Muni could see the Lord himself. He was a small boy, but the Lord revealed his form for a very short time. And then he said, in this lifetime, you cannot see me again, but you continue to meditate. And then in your next life, you will become a great devotee of the Lord. So Narad Muni was fortunate enough to see the Lord just for a small moment of time. Example is given that an aircraft, when it flies above the clouds, one can see the sun. But when it flies beneath the clouds, one cannot see the sun. Similarly, when one is above Maya, one is under the control of Maya, one cannot see Krishna. But when one flies above Maya, one can see Krishna. And there is an example in third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam as to how Mother Devahuti, she heard from Lord Kapila, and then she could understand the personal form of the Lord, spiritual form of the Lord herself. With this, I conclude the class for the day. So, some more things, but we don't have time. I can take questions for the next 1 or 2 minutes. Does anyone have any questions, any comments on today's subject? No? If no, can I take the class as closed?
Yes, Ru. Thank you very much for the wonderful lecture that you gave us.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you all very much. Granth Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Shri Prabhupada ki jai.